February 20th, 2016, and we'll continue as in the days of Queen Esther. Last week we were studying Esther 1, right? Yeah, Esther 1. And we left off with a conclusion of Esther 1. Let's see, right here. Esther 1. The conclusion of really hasn't gone into the story of Esther itself, but the story of Ahasuerus and Vashti, right? Ahasuerus and Vashti. It was in the third year, right? In the third year of, the third year of the reign of Ahasuerus at the palace of Shushan, and he made a feast that lasted how many days? 180 days, right there, on 180 days, 180. Okay, there you go, 180 days, and there was another feast that he made afterwards for 7 days, right? 7 days. And there was, Vashti herself had a feast for 7 days. So there's a double feast there, right? And this corresponds to the story of Elizabeth and Mary, right? Elizabeth was hid for 5 months. Elizabeth and Mary prophesied when she was pregnant 6 months. Also talking about the priests, and they sanctified the temple, the holy place, for 8 days. So this is the 8 days of the priest that they sanctified the temple, and then the 8 days of the Levites, and is in this time period where they sanctify the court, cleanse the court. Okay, all right. Now we will continue to Esther verse 2. Okay. Oh, this is actually the, we also said that the 7 chamberlains represents the church, and the 7 wise men represents the state. So there's a church and state here. And Vashti was called on the 7th day, and the king was wroth because she did not consent to come, and a divorce decree was made, right? So there's a decree. Now that corresponds to the Sunday law decree. So who was divorced at the Sunday law? Vashti. Vashti is the woman, is a church. So there's a church that is divorced at the Sunday law. And we know this also corresponds to the time of Zedekiah, right? Judah was divorced, right? Taken into captivity. So spiritual Judah in our time is divorced at the Sunday law, right? And there's going to be a worldwide message being given where from now it is going to be broadcast to the whole world. And when it is broadcast to the whole world will start to receive the message. But then the Edom, Moab, and Ammon, which is also called the 11th hour workers, they will start coming in at the Sunday law. All right? Okay. That is the conclusion of Esther 1. Let's see. Oh, and Zechariah speaks, and it's the 16th day. The 16th day is the the wave sheaf, and the wave sheaf is the day, the morrow after the Sabbath, right? The morrow after the Sabbath is the Sunday. That's the Sunday law, right? When the wave sheaf is being waved. So what is being waved is the first fruits. The first fruits that are first gathered here and then gathered here also. All right, okay. That's the first fruits. Okay, so now we are entering into Esther 2. Esther 2, verse 1 to 4. After these things, all right. I made a highlight. After these things. Why? Yeah, not only that, but it means what? It also means that this is a new line. Yeah. After these things, when the wrath of King Ahasuerus was appeased, he remembered Vashti. Oh, remember. Yeah. Now he remembers Vashti. What does it mean to remember? Okay. And what she had done and what was decreed against her. Then said the king's servants that ministered unto him, let there be fair young virgins sought for the king. Okay, let's gather some fair young virgins. Yeah, because Vashti is already divorced. And let the king appoint officers. And officers in all the provinces of his kingdom, that they may gather together, right? That's a very interesting thing. Why did he now remember? Because actually on the fifth year of his reign, what did he do? According to history, he went and attacked Greece. And now, yeah, after that attack, when he came back and he already lost, now he remembers he had divorced Vashti. It actually makes sense. It fits perfectly. Yeah, we'll actually see it on the Bible. It'll exactly say what year was this. We'll study it and then we'll find out what year this is. All right, and let the king appoint officers. Okay, and together gather all the fair young virgins unto the Shushan the palace, to the house of the women, unto the custody of Hagi, the king's chamberlain. So there's one of the king's chamberlain named Hagi. Hagi will gather the women, the young virgins, and they will stay in the house of the women, who is in the custody of Hagi. All right, the keeper of the women, and let their things for purification. Well, what happens there? They will be purified. Okay, and let the maidens which please the king be queen instead of Vashti, and the thing pleased the king, and he did so. So what happened? You got to gather the women. They're going to go into a house. And what happened at that house? You got to be purified, and then afterwards, the king is going to choose from one of them, all right? And it's going to be a king, going to be a queen, all right? Okay, all right, so far. Jeremiah. Now, what does after these things means what? Right. After it means a new line. Now remember, what does remember mean? Remember the old path. Yeah. You remember, you ask for the old path. What happens? The old path has always been there, but you forgot it. Ask for the old path, Jeremiah 6:16. Oh, all right, let me move to the left side here. Then spake the chief butler unto Pharaoh, saying, I do remember my faults this day. So what did he remember? He remembered his faults, remembering, like the chief butler, like Jeremiah says, looking for the old path. Okay. Joel 1 verse 14, sanctify ye a fast, call a solemn assembly, gather all the elders and inhabitants of the what? Gather. Now this also corresponds to when the bridegroom is going to come. and all the virgins are going to be gathered. Joel 2, verse 16, gather and assemble the elders and the children. All right? Yeah. Zephaniah 2, verse 1 and 2. Gather yourself together, yea, gather together, O nation not desired, before the decree. So do you gather? You gather before the decree, before the day pass as the chaff, before the fierce anger of the Lord come upon you, before the day of the Lord's anger. So do you? What day is it that is talking about? Zephaniah 2. Yeah, what day is that? What is the day of the Lord? That's the Sunday law, right? So you gather before the Sunday law, right? So after doing these verses, what prophetically is the gathering? When is the gathering? Before the Sunday law. When is it? Midnight cry or? Yeah, it has to be. This is where? So this has to be at 9/11, right? So gathering is at 9/11. All right. Behold, I will gather them out of all countries, whither I have driven them in mine anger, in my fury and great wrath. I will bring them again unto this place, and will cause them to dwell safely. Right? This is when the sticks, now that they are also gathered again, when the sticks come together. So they are gathered first at 9/11. They're also gathered at the midnight cry. Because remember, the two sticks come together. That's when they gather together again. Okay, now this may sound like, okay, what are we talking about here? There must be two gatherings. All right. Remember the purification of the priests and Levites? The priest first for 8 days and the Levites for 8 days. Ellen White wrote this and gave the commentary of this in Review and Herald. Hezekiah appealed directly to the priest to unite with him in bringing about the necessary reforms. Be not now negligent and exhort them, for the Lord has chosen you to stand before him, to serve him, and that ye should minister unto him and bring incense. Sanctify yourselves and sanctify the house of the Lord of your fathers. It was a time for quick actions. The priests had began at once, enlisting the cooperation of others of their number who had not been present during the conference. They engaged heartily in the work of cleansing and sanctify the temple. So the priests first started and cleansed the temple. All right? But first they have to sanctify themselves and then sanctify the house. And the priests started with the temple. And then what happens? And then the Levites will do sanctify the courts, right? Because of the years of desecration and neglect, this was attended with many difficulties. But the priests and the Levites labored untiringly, and within a remarkable short time, they were able to report their task completed. The temple doors had been repaired and thrown open. The sacred vessels had been assembled and put into place, and all was in readiness for the reestablishment of the sanctuary service. So they had to reestablish the sanctuary service. Okay, so we're going to put this at a timeline here. Okay, let me move. All right. So we see that it's a new line, okay? Right there. I put it a new line. We're going to have to find out what year was this, but it's actually a new line. First, they have to remember. And then the virgins are first gathered at 9/11. The priests, right? Because we're talking about the priests. Because now the first time they're gathered is the priests are gathered. It's so the first time they're gathered are the virgins that are first gathered are the priests. And there's a second decree. The second decree says that they are to gather the virgins, right? So we're talking about 9/11. Okay. we go to Esther 2, verse 5 and 6. Now in Shushan the palace there was a certain Jew whose name was Mordecai, the son of Jair, son of Shimei, the son of Kish, a Benjaminite, who had been carried away from Jerusalem with the captivity which had been carried away with Jeconiah, king of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, had carried away. All right. So who is Mordecai now? The cousin of Esther, right? And he is the son of Jair, the son of Shimei, the son of Kish. All right. Who's Kish? A Benjaminite, obviously, but yeah, he is related. He is the father of Saul, who had been carried away from Jerusalem with the captivity, had been carried away with Jeconiah. So the family of Mordecai and Esther was carried away during the second siege, right? During the time of Jeconiah. So when you see this, you realize that this is the reason why it connects the seven kings to the seven kings of Judah with the seven kings of Medo-Persia, with the story of Esther, right? This is how it connects it. So, just looking at this, you just read it and you think, okay, it's just for my information. But this, prophetically, it actually joins together, these stories. All right. Now, I actually highlighted Jair, Shimei, Kish, and Benjamin, who are a Benjaminite. Okay. Jair means enlightener, glorious or luminous. All right. Now, when we see these names, we will eventually figure out there has to be a meaning to these. Why was it put here? And Shimei means famous or report or rumor or tidings. Okay. Kish means a bow, to set a trap or to ensnare. Okay. All right. So Mordecai is a descendant of Jair, Shimei, and Kish, all right, who were taken at the time of Jeconiah, and his name actually means that he will be the messenger of three messages that enlightens the earth and identifies the trap of the Sunday law that's coming. There are three messages that enlightens the earth that identifies the trap of Sunday law. Wow.
So Mordecai is a messenger.
Yeah, he's going to be, when you see, he is actually the one that identifies that there's going to be a trap. Remember? Yeah. When you actually do this, you go, wow, that's pretty incredible. How did you actually, is it something that is just a little too far-fetched to put these names together and actually find a meaning to it? But you can actually do it. There is a meaning to these names of what Mordecai means, right? Okay, so who's Kish again? The father of Saul. And the asses of Kish, Saul's father, were lost, remember? Yeah. He's a Benjaminite. And so I guess he's the great-great-grandfather of Mordecai, right? Saul was the king who presents what kind of sacrifice? An unlawful sacrifice, right? That he wanted to sacrifice. He went and he was told to go and fight the Amaleks and kill all of them. But what did he do? He spared Agag and he brought back the sheep and the oxen and the chief of the things that he should have been utterly destroyed. And what was he going to do with them? He was going to sacrifice, right? So what was he doing when he wanted to sacrifice? Now he's a king, and he wanted to sacrifice. What does that mean? Church and state. It's an unlawful church and state, right? Yeah. Okay, that's an unlawful church and state, right? He's not a priest. He can't sacrifice. Yeah, he's a Benjaminite. He's not a Levite. Okay, all right. So he presented an unlawful sacrifice. All right. Okay. And and he brought Agag the king. And Agag is actually a forefather of Haman, because Haman is an Agagite. Right. So the stories are connected, because Samuel hewed Agag in pieces before the Lord in Gilgal. And what happened to Haman? He was hung on the gallows, right? Right, with his 10 sons. His 10 sons was also hung. All right. But this story also, now Agag also, we did this before, but Agag means a flame. And the first time that Agag is mentioned in the Bible is in Numbers 24, verse 7. He shall pour the water out of his buckets, and his seed shall be in many waters, and his king shall be higher than Agag, and his kingdom shall be exalted. This is the prophecy of who? In Numbers here. The prophecy of Balaam. He was supposed to curse the Israelites, but instead he blessed them. And he said that the God of Israel will be a God that is higher than Agag, right? And yeah, his seed, because that's Jesus, right? Right, the seed of Judah, the seed of Israel, which is eventually Judah, eventually Jesus. And his king, which is Jesus, is going to be higher than Agag. And that king will pour the water out of his buckets, right? And that water will drown out Agag, because Agag means flame, right? Right?
He's going to extinguish.
Right. Right. So when does God distinguish the flame of Agag?
When his kingdom is
All right. And call ye on the name of your gods, and I will call on the name of the Lord. And the God that answereth by fire, let him be God. And all the people answered and said, it is well spoken. When was this? Elijah. So he says, okay, we're going to have a contest. It's going to be your God or Baal, right? And whichever God can burn the sacrifice is going to be the true God, right? But what happened to the gods, to Baal? Baal cannot send fire from heaven. Because what? Because God, the God of Elijah has poured out the water on Baal. Right? Right.
I thought he poured the bucket on his own altar.
That's right. But when you think about it, it's metaphorically, Baal cannot send flame from heaven. Right? Because who? Because because God actually poured the water on Baal. So it's a metaphor. Yeah, it's a metaphor.
Oh, but wasn't it kind of like Elijah did it to cleanse it, kind of?
Yeah, because Elijah poured the water, and then even though it's full of water, now God can still burn it, because he can still send flame from heaven. But the problem with your God is that my God is stronger than your God, and my God will pour water on your God, and your God cannot send flame from heaven, right? Another way of thinking about it. Another way of actually showing it. And what happened to the prophets of Baal that was dancing here?
Cutting
They cut
themselves.
themselves.
Yeah, they cut themselves. But eventually Elijah brought them down to the brook Kishon and slew them there, just like Samuel slew Agag, right? So all these stories have a connection.
Samuel killed Agag by himself. Like he
Yeah.
took a
He,
sword and
he took a sword and hewed Agag in pieces. And Elijah slew the prophets of Baal at the brook Kishon. Right? So these stories are all connected. They're all connected. Okay. Esther 2 verse 7. And he brought up Hadassah. So who brought up Hadassah? Mordecai. Mordecai brought up Hadassah, that is Esther, his uncle's daughter, for she had neither father nor mother, and the maid was fair and beautiful, whom Mordecai, when her father and mother were dead, took as his own daughter. Okay. Yeah. So, obviously Mordecai and Esther are cousins, right? Okay. So what does Hadassah mean? Hadassah means myrtle. Myrtle also means joy. All right. Myrtle also means, oh, okay. All right. Let me go one more here. Isaiah 55 verse 13. Instead of the thorn shall come up for a tree, and instead of the briar shall come up the myrtle tree, and it shall be the Lord for a name. So the myrtle is also a name and for an everlasting sign that shall not be cut off. So myrtle, Hadassah means myrtle, but myrtle also means a name that is an everlasting sign. Okay. What is a name that is an everlasting sign? A name and an everlasting sign. What do you think about that? What does it come to mind? It's actually a covenant. Why is a covenant? Because a covenant is an everlasting sign. And when you get a covenant, what do you get? You get a new name, just like Abraham, right? So Hadassah means covenant. Because Hadassah means myrtle, and myrtle is a name and an everlasting sign. All right? Okay.
Hadassah is like the
Hadassah is the Hebrew name, actually.
and
Like-
Esther is like the Persian.
But yeah, Esther is a Persian name because she gets a new name, right?
That doesn't sound Hebrew.
Right. Esther is not Hebrew. All right. Hadassah, that's Hebrew.
It's very heavy.
Yeah, that's
So that's the myrtle tree.
Very, very.
Right. You have myrtle trees. Do you have it here?
Yeah, we have it here. The grape myrtle.
Oh, the crepe myrtle. Yeah, the myrtle tree. Right? The myrtle tree. Okay, so it means covenant. Okay. What about Esther? What does Esther mean? Obviously, Esther is the adopted orphan cousin of Mordecai. Right?
It's hidden. Yes.
Esther means star and also hidden. Okay, so Hadassah, which is Esther, Hadassah is the covenant. And Esther means star and it also means hidden. So there's going to be a new covenant that is made in the time of hiding. All right?
It's hidden 5 months.
Right? So that's what it means. You know, when you do line upon line, then you go, oh, wow, there you go. So the covenant is going to make, just by studying their names, you understand that Esther, which is Hadassah, means there's to be a covenant that is made at the time of hiding. Okay? Matthew 2 verse 2, saying, where is he that is born King of the Jews? For we have seen in his star. What is the star that are come to worship him? What was the star that the wise men saw? What was that star? It was actually a distant company of shining angels. So the star is actually a messenger, which is an angel, right? Yeah, remember? So the star, so Esther is like a messenger also. And that messenger has to go through a covenant time period when she is in hiding. Now we will see that the Esther has to go through a hiding time. Okay. Revelation, what about a star? There's another star. And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. Who is this star? It's Muhammad, right? We already know this. This is Muhammad is this is the star. So Muhammad is also a star. Okay. How does Muhammad being a star have anything to do with the story of Esther? Okay. All right. So Muhammad the star comes down. Remember when we were studying, Muhammad rises in the year 606, right? 606. Here on the edge, here my cursor. Where's my cursor? Right. 606. All right. Okay. And the smoke that comes out of the bottomless pit, the smoke that comes out of the bottomless pit will torment, in Revelation 9 verse 5, but not kill, for how many months? It's right here. This is 150 years, which is 5 months. So this is the 5 months, all right? For 5 months, it will torment but not kill. Okay, all right. So you say, what does that mean? This is the first woe and the second woe. Remember, it's a triple application. The third woe is actually the first and the second, right? The third woe starts at this time, which actually means when Islam is restrained. Because Islam here, for 150 years, wants to kill but cannot kill. It is restrained, right? For 150 years, it just torments. Here, Islam is restrained here also at 9/11. And the third woe starts here. So the star that comes down is related to the first woe, which also starts, and the third woe, and that's at 9/11. All right? Okay. So the Levites will be a messenger that brings the third angel's message to the world. And they are gathered here. And they are first gathered at this time, this first time period. That's when the star, all right? And it has also something to do with the message of Islam, right? Okay. All right. Well, eventually we have to put all this together, because all these concepts we bring in for multiple studies that we've had in the past, you know? All right. Okay. We'll continue now. Oh, so this is midnight. All right? And this is the midnight cry. Right. 1449, the four angels will be let loose. And now they will kill, because they will start attacking the Byzantine Empire for how many years? 391 years and 15 days. That's the second woe, right? But in 1453, what happens? They'll attack, and the wall of Constantinople falls. Remember, right here? Wall of Constantinople falls. So there's a wall that falls right there. There's a wall that falls at 1453. So there's a wall that falls right here at the midnight cry which wall falls at the midnight cry? The wall of marriage, meaning there's going to be a false marriage, the marriage between church and state, right? That's the test. That's going to be the test that starts at the midnight cry, which is the image of the beast test, right? So that's the wall of marriage. Okay. And here is another wall that falls, the wall of Sabbath, right? And these are the two walls, because Balaam's ass crushes the foot of Balaam at between these two walls, right? And so the message of Islam comes at this time again, because Islam is going to crush the false prophet's foot at this wall, at the first wall, right? And he's going to fall here and bring down the false prophet also. So the ass will fall here, and America is going to fall here too. So all these prophecies will come together. You'll see that the star starts right here, Islam. It has something to do with Islam. Okay. All right, we'll keep going. All right. Now we will we'll actually go to the Marah vision, right? Okay, let me go back one more time, right? The fifth angel sounded and saw a star fall from heaven into the earth, and him who was given the key of the bottom split. Now we have to switch a little bit and go into the Marah vision. We did Marah vision a little bit before, but I'm going to make a review of it now, and you'll understand why. All right? We'll switch to the Marah vision. Because you will see that when the priests, which is Esther, when they are called and they are going to be lifted up, they have to receive a Marah vision, right? Okay. What is the Marah vision? The Marah vision is definition, you can look it up in your eSword also, is a vision of a mirror, which is a looking glass, all right? Okay. Who received the Marah vision, right? Who actually received the Marah vision? And there are several prophets that received the Marah vision, right? Daniel, Ezekiel, Moses, Samuel. But what does a mirror, the Marah, which is a mirror, or was first defined at in Exodus 38, verse 8? And he made the laver of brass and the foot of it of brass. So here's the laver of brass, right? That's at the porch between the temple and the brazen altar, right? So when you enter, you get to the altar, and then you see this laver, right? They make that laver of brass using what? Using the looking glasses of the women that came from Egypt. Because in Egypt, to be able to put on your makeup, I guess.
A mirror.
Yeah, what do they have to use? A mirror. And how do they make the mirror? Out of brass. Yeah, a shiny, so they can see themselves, right? Right. So they all donated their mirrors, their brass mirrors, and they made it into this laver, right, which assembled at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. So that's the mirror, and it's the laver. The thing about it is, when you see this laver, it is actually basically a mirror. It's the same mirror, because what happens? What happens to what does the priest do when he sees? Obviously, he's washing himself, right? He washes himself with the water, and while he's washing, what does he look? He looks into the water and he sees the reflection of himself, right? So when you're washing, you're being purified, right? You're being purified. And when you're being purified and you look at this laver or you look at this mirror, you look and see your purified self, right? But what happens when you're already purified? You will have the character of Christ, right? When you have the character of Christ and you look into that mirror, who do you see? You actually see Christ. You actually see Christ. Okay, so that is the significance of the mirror, the looking glass mirror, right? Because when you're sanctified, you will look into that mirror and you will actually see the character of Christ. All right? So that's the Marah. That is the meaning of Marah. Okay? Right. My cursor is all over the place here. I can't figure out what's going on with the cursor. All right. James 1, verse 22 to 24. But be ye doers of the word and not hearers only, We always read this, right? Deceiving your own selves. For if any be a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like unto a man beholding his natural face in a mirror, right? Right. So if you're a natural man looking at yourself in the mirror, he beholdeth himself. You see yourself, and goeth his way, and then you go your own way, and straightway forgetteth what manner of man he is, and you forget what you look like. But whoso looketh into the perfect law of liberty, but when you have been sanctified, right, and continued therein, and continue to be sanctified, he being not a forgetful hearer, but a doer of the work, this man shall be blessed in his deed. So what happens to him? He can actually look in the mirror. That's a she. Looks in the mirror and doesn't see himself, will see Christ. Right? Okay. 2 Corinthians. And not as Moses, which put a veil over his face, that the children of Israel could not steadfastly look at it, to the end of that which is abolished. So when he came down from the mountain, his face was so shiny. And the children of Israel thought, oh, it's too bright. So what did he have to do? He had to wear a veil. Right. But their minds were blinded, for until this day remaineth the same veil untaken away in the reading of the Old Testament, which veil is done away in Christ. Wow, so you also have a veil in front of your Christ when you read the Old Testament, right? But that veil is done away in Christ. You should have no more veil because Christ has explained it to you now, because Christ has come now. But even unto this day, when Moses is read, the veil is upon your heart. Nevertheless, when it shall turn to the Lord, when you turn to the Lord, right? The veil shall be taken away. When you become perfect, you can have no more, you don't have to have a veil. Now the Lord is that Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord, there is liberty. The Lord is also a Spirit. But when you receive the Spirit of the Lord, then you can have the perfection of His character. But we all, with open face, beholding as in a glass the glory of the Lord. We behold in a mirror the glory of the Lord, because now we are turned from God's glory to our glory, which is God's glory too, because we have now been perfected in God's glory. So when we look in the mirror, whose glory do we see? The glory of Jesus. Right? So that is the Marah, the glass, the mirror. 1 Corinthians 13, 9 to 12. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part. Okay? But that but when that which is perfect. So when we are not perfect, we don't know everything. We know in part, right? We know some, and we prophesy in part, and we cannot prophesy yet, right? We don't have the full gift of prophecy, and we don't know everything. But that when that which is perfect is come. But when we become perfect, when we have the character of Christ, then that which is in part shall be done away. When I was a child, I spake as a child. I understood as a child. See, when I was a child, I knew in part. I didn't know everything, and I can't prophesy. I thought as a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things. For now we shall through a glass darkly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then shall I know even as also I am known. But when you become perfect, what happens? When you look in that glass, you will see the face of Christ. It's like you're beholding Jesus, because now Jesus is looking back at you, all right? And when you have become perfect, you will know all things. Because before you only knew in part, and you can also prophesy in part. So when you become perfect, what happens? You will know all things, and you will be able to prophesy. Right? Right. Right. You will actually become a prophet. Will you actually be a prophet? Will you actually be a prophet like Ellen G. White or Moses like that? I don't think that is what it really means. It means, it means that you will have the prophetic understanding of what is happening at that time.
And the anticipation.
Right. You will understand all the prophecies of what is going to happen at that time. You will have the prophetic understanding, right? Because when you are made perfect, then you will have the gift of prophecy, meaning you will understand. Okay.
Now we see through a glass darkly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then I shall know even as also.
So when you actually see face to face, is you're looking at a mirror and you see Jesus there, which is your character. So when you actually see Jesus, you're seeing Jesus face to face. I'd never actually realized that is what it means, because you're seeing yourself in a mirror. All right. Okay. All right.
Very deep concept.
Yeah, it's actually pretty deep.
Very profound.
Yeah. But only after you're perfect. But when you're perfect, then you will know all things, and you can also prophesy.
So it's as if when you're a child, your understanding is very low.
Yeah.
When you put away childish things, then you can finally see.
Right. Right. And at that time is that's when it actually comes to a culmination, when you have the perfection of Christ's character. Then you can actually see Christ face to face, but it's actually you're looking into a mirror. You're actually seeing Christ's character in you. Wow.
It's very deep.
Yeah. Okay. Numbers 12, verse 6. Okay, so this is the part that we did yesterday. Numbers 12, verse 6. Remember the story of Aaron and Miriam when they questioned the authority of Moses as the leader? And they said, hey, you know what? We want to be the leaders also. Women's ordination kind of thing, say. Miriam says, oh, you know what? I want to be a leader. Why can't God speak to me, through me? All right? And when they questioned Miriam, what was their excuse why they can be leaders? Because the wife of Moses is an Ethiopian. So they used that as an excuse. When you read Numbers 12, they said, Moses and Aaron said, oh, you know what? Moses' wife is an Ethiopian. And as a matter of fact, why does he get to be the voice of God? Why can't we also be the voice of God?
Oh, Ethiopians, they're not.
Because Moses actually married a Midianite which is the daughter of Laban, right? And she's of Ethiopian descent,
Yeah.
I guess, right?
Yeah.
And she's dark. Yeah. But, and her name is what? Zipporah. Right. But they made it an excuse and saying, oh, we want to also question Moses as to his authority, and because of that, why can't we also be the mouthpiece of God? And so what did God say? And he said, and God came down on a cloud and called the three of them to the tabernacle. And what did he say? And he said, hear now my words. If there be a prophet among you, the Lord will make myself known unto him in a vision. And what kind of vision is that? It's a Marah vision. It's a mirror vision, right? And will speak unto him in a dream. So you are going to get a dream, and in that dream you will have a Marah vision, and you will see the appearance of Christ in yourself, right? So that's the Marah vision, right? So yeah, you will become a prophet, right? So if you receive the Marah vision, you'll become a prophet, meaning you will have the prophetic gift of understanding prophecies as it relates to that time. Okay? All right, so that's Moses. So Moses received the Marah vision. All right, who else? Remember Samuel?
Yeah.
Yeah. How many times did God call Samuel? 4 times, right? And the 4th time, he's called Samuel, right? And Samuel received a vision from God at that time when he was how old? 12 years old. No, he was only 12 years old. And he received, what kind of vision was it? A Marah vision, right? A Marah vision. He received a Marah vision, right? And what was in the Marah vision? A prophecy of what is going to happen to spiritual Israel. What was going to happen to spiritual Israel? The Eli and his sons are going to die, and that is going to be the end of Shiloh, right? Because the ark is going to be taken away by the Philistines, right? Okay, right? And whoever hears of this, it will make their ears what? Tingle, right? And that the only other times that the ears tingle is when they hear of the destruction of Israel and Judah, of the destruction of Judah at the time of Zedekiah. Because in Jeremiah, it says, makes a prophecy of what's going to happen to Zedekiah. Because what happened to Zedekiah is happened to Eli also, remember? Eli had sons that died first, and then he died. What happened to Zedekiah's sons? They were killed right in front of him, and then his eyes were taken out. Because Eli, what happened to Eli at the end of his years? He was also blind, right? Eli was blind, Zedekiah was blinded, their sons were killed before they were also killed, and they were taken away, and they became no longer God's priests or God's leaders of the God's people, right? Okay, so Samuel received a Marah vision, and he became a prophet. Wow, can you imagine? 12 years old. Who received the Marah vision? It was Jacob. All right, the story of Jacob, just to recap. The story of Jacob, he had 10 sons that went down to Egypt to meet Joseph, right? How many times did he have 10 sons go down to Egypt to meet Joseph? Twice, actually. All right. The first time it was 9 plus Simeon, because Benjamin stayed back, right? And then they came back, Simeon stayed there, and the next time, Benjamin went there. So there were 2 times that the 10 sons went to meet Joseph in Egypt, okay? And then what happened? They all came back. They all came back, and they said, okay, gather your father, Jacob, so he can come down. And on the way down, he went to Beersheba, and there he received a Marah vision, right? There you go. That's the Marah vision. And God spoke unto Israel in the visions, the Marah vision of the night, and said, Jacob, Jacob. Oh, there's a doubling too. The Marah vision. And then he went down into Egypt. And how many people was in his contingency as he went down to Egypt? 70, right? Okay. So when you know this story, you realize that actually corresponds to the Sunday law, because the 70 is the Levites. So this is actually the story of the Levites. Samuel is the story of the priests. He was 12 years old. That's the priest. The priests are symbolized by the 12, right? The priests are going to receive a Marah vision. Jacob here, he went down with 70 of his family members. He also received a Marah vision. So the Levites also are going to receive a Marah vision, right? And it's going to be at near the Sunday law. Okay. All right. Well, how are we doing with time? Okay, we're okay. All right. Ezekiel 1:1. So Ezekiel receives a Marah vision also, right? And when did he receive that Marah vision? On the 4th month in the 5th day of the month. And that's very significant, because the 5th day of the 4th month, according to the Cariot reckoning in the time of the Millerites, corresponds to July 21, 1844, which is midnight, when Samuel Snow first preached the midnight cry, which is the 3rd angel's message, right? And the 3rd angel's message is preached by Samuel Snow, because do you think Samuel Snow received a prophetic gift? Yeah, of course. Samuel Snow had the prophetic gift, right? He had the understanding. He was given the understanding. Did Josiah Litch have a prophetic understanding? Of course. Yeah. They were able to what? They were able to understand of what was the prophecy is going to be at that time. They had the Marah. Yeah. They had the prophetic gift. Yeah, they had prophetic gift. All right. Okay. Who else? Right, Ezekiel 8, verse 2-3. Then I beheld, and lo, a likeness as the appearance. All right, here you go. The appearance is Marah. Right, look at that. The appearance is actually Marah. So do you know the difference between the Marah and the Marah? Marah is a reflection. You see the reflection. But the Marah is you see the appearance of Jesus. Yeah. Yeah. This is actually, we used to describe it as the snapshot. Because the Marah is actually the appearance of Jesus. At the 2300 days, end of the 2300 days, what did Jesus do? He appeared in the most, he appeared in the most holy place. And when he was talking with Gabriel, it's like Daniel saw Jesus, saw the appearance of Jesus, right? So the appearance, then I behold, and lo, a likeness as the appearance, the Marah of fire, from the Marah of his loins even downward, from the appearance of his loins even downward, fire, and from his loins even upward as the Marah of brightness. This is talking about who? Jesus, yeah. As the color of amber. And he put forth the form of a hand, and took me by a lock of my head, and the Spirit lifted me up between the earth and the heaven, and brought me in the Marah. Right? So Ezekiel received the Marah. Yeah. So Ezekiel received the Marah, but first he was looking at Jesus. That's a Marah. That's a Marah. That's an appearance of Jesus. He saw the appearance of Jesus in all those. See, there. That's the appearance. That's all Marah. When after he saw the appearance of Jesus, then he received the Marah, and then the Marah. Because the Marah, then he can see the reflection of Jesus in himself, right? Then he can become a prophet because he can understand all these visions. And brought me in the visions of God to Jerusalem, to the door of the inner gate that looked toward the north. There was the seed of the image of jealousy and provoked to jealousy. Remember these? The 4 abominations? Right? Now he's able to understand all these things because he was given the Marah vision after he had the Marah experience of seeing Jesus, right? Because when you're able to see Jesus means your character is in you. Then you will have the prophetic gift, but only after you're perfect. So, I'm doing this very slow because to understand that the priests will have to have this experience, meaning that's me and you. The only way we're going to see Jesus in the reflection is when we've been perfected. And when we have been perfected, we will actually have a prophetic gift. Not that we're going to be the last prophet, no. But we will actually have the understanding of the prophetic significance of end-time events. Right? Yeah? All right. Okay. Okay, let's see. Where are we? Ezekiel 4:43. And behold, the glory of God of Israel came from the way of the east, and his voice was like a noise of many waters. And the earth shined with his glory. See? So this is describing Jesus, God of Israel. And it was according to the appearance, the Marah of the vision of the Marah of the Marah. See? So the original Hebrew is that it's according to the Marah of the Marah. So when the translators want to see it, they say, okay, this is the appearance of the vision, right? The Marah of the Marah. Even according to the Marah that I saw when I came to destroy the city, and the Marah were like the Marah that I saw by the river Chebar. See? Wow. Only after you see the appearance will you be able to see the mirror, the reflection, right? Right. So that's the point of this. You will see the appearance. So we used to say it's a snapshot, but it's a better way to understand it. It's actually the appearance, right? Because Daniel is also going to see. Yeah. Daniel, remember Daniel saw the Chazon vision, right? And then he also saw the Marah vision. And after he saw the Marah vision, what happened? He saw the Marah vision. Right. And Daniel alone saw the Marah. For the men were that with me saw not the Marah, but a great quaking fell upon them, so that they fled to hide themselves. Therefore I was left alone and saw this great Marah. Right. And there remained no strength in me. And my comeliness was turned into corruption, and I retained no strength. Okay. So, we got to put that together right here. Yeah. So,
I think when you see the Marah, the appearance, and you have the Marah which is applied to you.
Right. Then you will have the prophetic understanding. Right.
So when you say the character of Christ is applied to you.
Right. Yeah. You will have the character of Christ. Okay. So we'll see. We saw this before, right? That's the 5 months. All right. So remember, she's a star, and that that's like the first woe, because the first woe lasts for how many months? 5 months. You see this 5 months up here? See, that's the 5 months up there. Right. It goes, my cursor is very unusual this day. Okay, this 5 months is the same as this 5 months right here. This first woe. This 5 months is when Elizabeth was hiding, remember? It's the same as this 5 months, which is the first woe. So that's why it starts at 9/11, and then it ends right here. There's this 1 month. So what is this 1 month here? So that's between the midnight and the midnight cry, right? What is that 1 month here? This is the 1 month when you receive the Marah vision, and then you are, then you become, because this is your sanctified right here, right? Remember? Your purification, the 8 days of purification here. You will receive your Marah vision, and then you will receive a gift of prophecy, right? Being able to understand prophecy, right? And you will become perfected right here, because you have been perfected, and you can see the character of Christ in the mirror when you look at yourself, right? Okay, so that's the first woe. Okay, but remember, the first woe is followed immediately by the second woe, right? So this ends at this period somewhere here, right? All right. There's going to be a time, because the Levites will also have a time here that they will also receive the Marah vision, right? So this corresponds to this, because this is 1449 to 1453. This is 4 years. This is 1840 to 1844, of another 4 years. This is the beginning of the second woe. This is after the end of the second woe, right? This is when Josiah Litch predicted what is going to happen. Islam is going to be restrained. So Josiah Litch made a prediction right here. So if this corresponds to this, there's going to be a prediction made here about Islam also. Josiah Litch made a prediction of Islam here. So at this time here, and this is the midnight cry. So at midnight, the priests are going to make a prediction also about Islam, right? Because you see these two points. I mean, these two periods are the same, right? So, okay. All right. Where are we now? Okay, we still again. So it came to pass, when the king's commandment and his decree was heard, and when many maidens were gathered together unto Shushan the palace, to the custody of Haggai. All right. The maidens were gathered into the custody of Haggai. Remember the one that is the keeper of the women, right? Esther was brought also unto the king's house, to the custody of Haggai, the keeper of women. And the maiden pleased him, and she obtained kindness of him. So Esther pleased Haggai, and she obtained kindness of him, and speedily gave her, and Haggai gave her things for purification, with such things as belonged to her, and 7 maidens. So the things that you need to purify yourself, and 7 maidens, which were meet to be given to her out of the king's house. And he preferred her and her maidens unto the best place of the house of the women. All right, so understand what happened? They were gathered into a house. And this house, they need to be purified. And how long were they to be purified? We'll see here. But they need to be purified. All right? And they were given the things that are needed for purification. And Esther was favored by Haggai, right? Okay, for some reason, this really comes to mind the story of Daniel, because Daniel was favored by the eunuch, right? What was the eunuch's name? Ashpenaz. Right? And Ashpenaz he favored Daniel, right? Before Daniel went to, and then was eventually had to be brought before Nebuchadnezzar, right? So he was favored, right? Who else was favored? Remember the story of Joseph? Joseph was favored while he was in prison, right? Right? Because he was a good prisoner. Daniel was a good slave, right? So isn't it a time of purification during time of what?
You're favored.
Yeah, you're favored. You're being purified during a time of the hiding, where you're in a trial and tribulation. In the time of hiding, you're in prison. You're in, right? You're in prison. You're in Babylon as a slave. They're in hiding. So can you see that Joseph and Daniel was also in a time of hiding, and even the time of hiding they were favored, right? Okay, so that's how you're purified. You are purified to become gold by fire, the fire of slavery and the fire of persecution, right? All right. Okay, Esther 2, verse 10 and 11. Esther had not showed her people nor her kindred, for Mordecai had charged her that she should not show it. And Mordecai walked every day before the court of the women's house to know how Esther did and what should become of her. So Esther had not showed her people nor her kindred. What was she doing? She's hiding, right? She's hiding. She's being purified. And she was found favor. It's the same thing, just as Joseph and Daniel. Same thing. All right. Okay. The desire of ages. Those who till the soil have the illustration ever before them. Year by year, man preserves his supply of grain by apparently throwing away the choicest part. When you want to make seed, do you make seed out of the bad fruit, or do you find the best fruit and make them seed? Yeah, you find the best fruit. It is as if you throw away the best fruit. No, you choose the choicest fruit to make seed. For a time it must be hidden under the furrow, to be watched over by the Lord. Then appears the blade, then the ear, and then the corn in the ear. But this development cannot take place unless the grain is buried out of sight, hidden to all appearance lost. Do you understand the concept now? Okay, see? So when you're being hidden, are you growing actually? Yes, absolutely. So when the 5 foolish virgins, when they were sleeping, were they actually growing? Yes, they were growing at that time. But the foolish virgins were not growing. They were indifferent, right? But the wise, they were growing. So even though they were underground, buried out of sight, hidden, tarrying time, you name it, they were favored. They were growing.
That's during midnight.
Before midnight.
Yeah,
Before midnight.
before.
Yeah. In the tarrying time, before midnight.
That span of time.
Do you realize that we are there right now? This is where we are right now. We are in the hiding time right now. What are we doing right now? We're doing these studies all the time because what are we doing? We're growing. We're in the period of purification, right? This is our time. This is now.
Well, it makes sense because if you put it to the analogy of the seed,
Right,
it grows, but you don't see that there's a difference.
Right.
You already see it.
right. And only later, then it blossoms out and the world can now see it, right? That's
But
happened.
it's being nurtured even in the most
Right.
It's hidden.
That's right.
Which you think would be the most insignificant part.
That's
of
right.
Life.
That's why it's hidden.
But actually the most important part.
Yeah.
So-
Mm-hmm.
You have to be nourished.
Right. Yeah.
And then it can demonstrate its.
Because you have to be hidden first before then you can blossom out. Right? Yeah. It's actually,
You have to be watered when you're.
yeah, that's right. It's when you understand and look at this is wow, this is so amazing. This is where it actually can,
So we use the seed as
Yeah, illustration.
an analogy.
right? Because Joseph, Daniel, Esther, they're all hidden. And while they were being hidden, they were favored, right? Because they were growing.
Soil should be a good soil.
And, yeah, no, you have to be the good seed,
The good seed, I think.
right? The choicest part, right? You have to be the good seed, right? Okay. All right, Esther 2, verse 12. How are we doing at time? Okay. Now, when every maiden's turn was come to go in to King Ahasuerus, now this is talking about the other maidens, right? After that, she had been 12 months, okay? So she had to be purified for how long? 12 months. You know, I was thinking, why 12 months? On a superficial level, all right? On a superficial level, on a natural level, why 12 months?
Noah preached for 120 years.
No, on a natural level. On a natural level. Why does Ahasuerus say you need to be purified 12 months because before you can become my queen?
Is it like menstruation or something?
No. To make sure you're not pregnant by somebody else's,
That's correct.
right?
Yeah.
How do you know you're not pregnant? By somebody else.
Oh, that's close.
Just hide them in a house for 12 months. For sure you're not pregnant when, yeah, you're still a virgin, right?
Even if, was that, a guy was eunuch.
Yeah, because the eunuch can't do anything to that.
It still doesn't trust, there might be other.
That's right. That's why the Haggai has to be a eunuch.
Yeah.
That's why the women can be purified. See, when you think of it on a natural level, it really makes sense.
It's true, make sure that you're not pregnant, you know.
Right, by somebody else, right? Yeah. But we got to look at the spiritual level. You had been 12 months according to the manner of the women, see? The manner of the women. Now, when you read that, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Makes sense.
Right. For so were the days of their purification accomplished, to wit, 6 months with oil of myrrh, and 6 months with sweet odors, and with other things for the purifying of the women. Okay.
They have to use herbs
In herbs, huh? 6 months with myrrh and 6 months with
essential
odors.
oils.
So does this mean something? Well, yeah, of course. This is prophetic. This means something. What does it mean? What does it mean being purified with myrrh? What is myrrh? What is myrrh? Myrrh.
Oil.
Yeah, myrrh is like Miriam, Mary,
Pure.
Marah. What is that? Bitter. Okay, yeah. But anyway, bitter. We'll do that. I just realized I didn't do that first. I did the 12. What is 12? Obviously 12 disciples, right? There's so many 12s in the Bible. Can you give me some more 12s? 12 disciples.
44
Huh?
times 12.
Yeah, 12 times 12 is 144.
Children.
12 sons of Jacob, right? What? 12 sons of Ishmael. 12 disciples. 12 baskets. Right. All right. What about the 12 oaks of Elisha? Right? 12. Right? 12 also means preparation. Right? That is Elisha, because Elisha had to be prepared for 12 when he was before he can take on Elijah's role.
Yeah.
He had to be prepared, right? 12. Yeah, I know. We're almost there. We're almost there. I have to find a place. 12. Oh, what about 12?
12 years old.
Yeah, Samuel was 12 years old, right? Who was 12 when they went to the Feast of Tabernacle? Jesus. Jesus was 12 years old. And what did he do when he went there to the feast and he was talking to the priests when he was 12 years old?
Scolded his parents.
Yeah. Why? He says, I was what? I was expounding to them
He was doing
What?
the Lord's business.
Isaiah.
Isaiah.
And what was Isaiah, what was the book of Isaiah talking about? About him.
About him.
What was he expounding on? The prophecy of Isaiah, right? Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what happened to Samuel? He received the Marah vision when he was 12 years old. And what did he do? He prophesied about Eli and his sons and what's going to happen to Israel. So when Jesus was 12 years old, he expounded prophecy to all right, okay. Kind of makes sense, right? Okay, and Marah means, or Myrrh means bitter, right? Marah, Miriam, Mary, it all means bitter, right?
But it's also cleansing, really, because it's
Bitter.
astringent and it's
Oh, okay, yeah.
like
Yeah.
purification.
Yeah, it's bitter, yeah.
Remember, when, for the dead, frankincense is from there, so that's how they.
Yeah, frankincense and myrrh.
Cleansing.
What about the sweet odors? What is it actually? It's actually spice and sweet. So they were to be purified with a bitter and a sweet, with a bitter sweet experience. Right? They're being purified is a sweet thing, but it also is.
As honey.
Ah, there you go.
Bitter when you swallow.
All right. What is that? They're eating the little book. So when they're in hiding, what are they doing? They're eating the little book. They're being purified through the time of persecution. They're eating the little book. So now we're doing this. We're getting better now. See, you know how to do line upon line now, right? And I went to the angel, the Revelation 10 angel. Give me the little book. It is bitter and it is sweet. It is bitter and it is sweet, right? So during the time of hiding, what are you doing? You are being purified by eating the little book so that you can return to the old path, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So, right. So why do you have to eat the roll, the roll, which is the book that seems like it is sweet? Because what do you have to do with that knowledge? You have to go to the house of Israel and prophesy to the house of Israel. But what will the house of Israel do?
Hearken.
They will not hearken. And that's why it's also bitter also for you. And it is going to be our experience as well, because we are in the time of hiding. We have to eat the little book. And then when we eat the little book, it'll be sweet, but it also will be bitter, because you're going to have to go to the house of Israel. And they will not.
It's sweet to you, but it's when you tell to them, like,
Right.
they will not accept it. And I guess it will be,
Mm-hmm.
it's a bitter experience
Mhm.
because you think it's, you're excited about it, but
Yeah.
they don't want to listen to it.
And they're going to persecute you.
Yeah, they want to persecute.
Yeah, because the only way you are going to be purified also is by the persecution, right? Okay, I'm going to try to find a place to stop here. But anyway, what also myrrh? It's Smyrna.
Smyrna.
The angel of Smyrna. Myrrh is, Smyrna comes from the word of Smyrna, right? Revelation 2. And the angel of the church in Smyrna write, these things said the first and the last, which was dead and alive. I know thy works and tribulation, poverty, tribulation, tried, prison, tribulation, 10 days. This is the tribulation of Diocletian, remember? But it's about being bitter persecution, right? So myrrh is also, but what do you have to do? You're faithful unto death, and those who are faithful will overcome. right? So you will still be purified, even you're faithful unto death. Okay. All right. Now the difference, thus came every maiden unto the king. Whatsoever she desired was given to her. Now this is the maidens who are not
Not favored.
and yeah, not Esther.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
Houses of Jew,
they were given everything that they wanted, right? All right.
because the king still has to choose
Yeah. To go with her out of the house of the women
into the king's house.
into Haggai's house, into the king's house. Now they go to a king's house, all right?
From Haran to the king.
Right. From the harem to the palace. In the evening she went, so she went there in the evening, and on the morrow she returned into the second house to the custody of Shazgaz. All right? I have to put this, think about it. This a virgin will go at night to the king's house, and tomorrow if she's chosen or not, the following day she will be decided whether she is going to do to the custody of Shazgaz's house. Right. Because she is rejected. When she's rejected, what does she become? She becomes a concubine, right? Which kept the concubines. Then she came unto the king no more, right? You're no longer a king. Kings what? Except the king delight in her, and that she were called by name. And then you have to be called by name, right? Right.
You're not a queen.
Yeah, but you're not a queen, you're a concubine. You can only come when you are called. Right. You're rejected. You're the reject now. You become a concubine. All right? Okay. For many are called, but few are chosen. Okay, so I have and I think we'll do one more slide after this and we'll conclude for today. So this is Shushan the palace. In Shushan the palace, there's 3 dwelling places, all right? The first one is the house of Haggai, where the virgins are called and they gather there, right? So the virgins gather there. And from there, they're called to, they're called to the king's palace, right? But and then if they're rejected, they go to the concubine's house. But if they're chosen, they stay at the king's house. They don't have to go to the concubine's house. All right? You get that? All right. Okay, pretty easy. It was fun making these, finding these, what? Yeah, I had to look for different houses, just to, yeah. I had to look for a palace. I had to look like a kind of like a simple house. And this is like a, all right? Okay, but anyway, just an illustration so you'll understand. There's 3 houses, right? Right. If you're chosen, you get to stay at the big house. Otherwise, you stay with the concubines.
You stay with the concubines, you just call if the queen has servant with her. And the king wants a woman, so she called to the Shiga's house.
Yeah, there you go.
There you are.
Okay.
You're called by name.
But remember, the other maidens, they had whatsoever she desired was given to her. All right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's very significant because look at the next verse. Now, when the turn of Esther, the daughter of Abihail, the uncle of Mordecai, who had taken her for his daughter, was come to go unto the king, when it was Esther's turn to go to the king, she required nothing. Okay, this is very different. Right? This is very different.
Why did they have to require something?
Okay, you have to look. All right.
Well, you have to really, just like you're in a beauty pageant, you have to put yourself in a position that the king will select you and choose you. So
Because
this
I
is
think
the-
Higa had given her pointers.
Oh,
She was favored.
Yeah, she was favored.
by him.
I'll say. Yeah. Yeah.
Has the-
She probably has the natural beauty that does not need to be made up.
Yeah, made up.
That's what makeup comes from, right? You're actually a little lower, but you have to be made
Made
up. She's already up
Yeah,
there.
Yeah, but
She required nothing.
Didn't regard anything.
You know, it was also so totally the Bible that she was really beautiful.
Right. Well, obviously, yes, she was, even Haggai initially favored her, and then the king favored her, But what Haggai, the king's chamberlain, the keeper of women, appointed, and Esther obtained favor in the sight of all of them that looked upon her, even the king, right? So Esther was taken unto King Ahasuerus into his house royal in the 10th month, which is the month Tebeth, in the 7th year of his reign. Right. So when did the purification start?
5th year of his reign. 2 years before then.
No, 1 year. It was 12 months.
1 year.
So,
the 6th year of his
so the
reign.
6th year
The
of
6th
his
year
reign. Remember, he went and attacked Greece on his 5th year
On
of
the
his
5th year,
reign.
went to
Right.
Greece.
All right.
6th
So the 6th year, he
He
remembered
remembered
that he doesn't have a wife.
He remembered Vashti.
All right.
And it says here that the month of Tebet is winter month. It's cold month.
Right. And took king into his royal house in the 10th month, which is the month Tebet, in the 7th year of his reign. Okay. So, remember, he remembers the virgins are first gathered. This is the second decree. The second decree says, okay, gather all virgins. All right? I don't have a wife. I need a wife. Right? Yeah. And they have to be purified for 12 months. 6 months with a bitter experience, and then 6 months with sweet experience. The myrrh and the sweet odors. All right? And Esther is a star. Star is also the beginning of the first woe, right? And she is hidden. Right? Means hidden also. So 6 months with myrrh, 6 months with sweet odors, so that's 12 months. All right? So this is the 10th month of the 7th year, right? 10th month of the 7th year, meaning this is the 10th month of the 6th year, right? Right. Because this is 12 months. So this is the 6th and the 7th year, right? So this line is the 6th and the 7th year, all right? This goes with 9/11. The 5 months ends right here. So now, if this was like 6 months here, now on this level is 6 months, but another level, this is 6 months here, and the 5th month end here because this is the midnight cry, right? She's being purified up until this time, and here she's perfect, right? So the priests are perfect here. When they are perfect, they can receive the Marah vision, and they can reflect Christ's character, and then when they see themselves in the mirror, they see Christ, right? Okay. All right. Okay, you know what? I think we'll end right there, so that we next. I have to remember where we were. All right. We'll continue next 10th month because we started a little bit late, so now it's 1 hour and 33 minutes. Okay, let me get my cursor here, so I'll put the ending title. All right. So we'll so far we haven't finished Esther 2, but we went into the understanding of the Marah vision a little bit more. Marah and Marah. Okay? So that we will continue next week with continuation of Esther 2. All right.